What's up, everyone? So today we're reacting to 10 craziest military training exercises. This is by Top Trending. I will leave a link down below for the original video. Please make sure you go to the original video and give them a like and subscribe and check out their channel because that's really important. But before we get started, as per usual, I want to give a huge shout out to all these amazing people. These are my members. If it wasn't for these guys, I wouldn't be making videos every single day. So guys, thank you. I really do appreciate your support. I really do enjoy chatting to you all on Discord and playing Warzone with you guys. I really do enjoy it. If you're a member and you're not part of Discord yet, link down below, join. And if you're not a member and you fancy a chinwag anyway, link down below. Down there, you'll also find a link to my merchandise, including the small head, big head, deaded, and the official original human merch. Also, for those who don't know, starting next week, I'll actually be streaming on Twitch. This is the new Twitch original human gaming. I'm so new to it. It's all fresh, so it's going to be a learning experience for me. It's going to be a place where I get to chat to you guys a bit more personal, play some games that are not just military, and just have some fun. But it is just like a side thing. The YouTube is still my priority, just so you all know that, okay? Okay, so 10 craziest military training exercises by Top Trending. Let me pull it up, and let me pull to the side so you can see me head. And let's watch this. Let's see what they talk about.
Joining the military is not for the faint of heart. In order to turn the average citizen into a highly trained soldier, militaries around the world put them through a series of extreme tests to prove their abilities. But many of these tests are truly intimidating. From juggling grenades to jumping out of buildings, we are looking at the craziest known military exercises.
Hand grenade, hot potato.
In 2012, a video surfaced of the Chinese military taking part in one of the most mind-boggling military exercises imaginable. The video, which was leaked from state CCTV, shows a group of People's Army soldiers testing fate with a live grenade.
Okay, so there's a difference between like having training that really does benefit the soldier and doing something that I think is a little silly. And that's silly. Someone can get hurt, and it makes no sense. Why? Just why?
You may be familiar with the exercise. It's the equivalent of hot potato, where participants will pass around a potato or some other random object until the music stops, and the person in possession of said object is eliminated from the game. It's kind of like that, although the unfortunate soldier in this game runs the risk of actually being eliminated by a live hand grenade. Thankfully, it is the job of the soldiers to dispose of the grenade into a large hole just before it detonates. One can only imagine that it's the ultimate test of a soldier's ability to cope under pressure. In the video, no one is injured, but if this is a frequent exercise, it's inevitable that someone will be hurt, or worse, in a matter of time.
So there must be... Is that the mud run? That's the mud run. Just before I get sidetracked, that they must time the grenade and count and then throw it. It's just a disaster. It's an accident waiting to happen in no time. I do not condone juggling a grenade and throwing it into it. I think this is just blowing me away. Is this the mud run? Is this the Royal Marines? Mud run. This is the mud run. This is what I do. This is what I did. Okay, quick story. Look, story time, guys. Okay. Most troops only do one mud run during training. I unfortunately did 3 mud runs. I did one with my original troop, and then I got injured. And when I was getting fit from the injury, we did a mud run then during my actual injured troop. And then when I got put into a new troop after the injury, I did a mud run with them. So I did 3, unfortunately. Kind of sucked.
It is designed to turn the merely tough into the super tough. The Royal Marines' much-feared mud run is the toughest part of a 32-week training course said to turn civilians into commandos.
The mud run is not the toughest part of commando training. The commando tests at the end are the hardest part, or actually final X at the end of training is probably the hardest part. Mud run is not the hardest part. So.
You can see why even the strongest recruits dread it. Exhausted, demoralized, and covered in foul-smelling sludge from head to toe, these Royal Marine recruits hope one day to wear the coveted Green Beret, marking them out as the elite of Britain's fighting...
Hold on a second. The Green Beret. Here's one I prepared earlier.
Forces. The men need to call upon reserves, both mental and physical, that they didn't know they had, simply to get through the grueling ordeal. Captain Ben Chappell, who oversees physical training at the Royal Marines Commando Training Center in Limestone, Devon, said, "The mud run is about instilling a Royal Marine state of mind. The recruits spend up to 45 minutes in the mud that is so thick they can barely run, doing exercises and games, and it is so difficult that getting through it really builds team spirit. We're not just looking for physical strength, but mental resilience as well, and the team cohesion that comes from getting through the hardship together. This strength and cohesion forms parts of the Royal Marines' DNA. He said the recruits would not necessarily know when the run was coming up, saying it's all about dislocation of expectation.
Yep. So before we move on, let's talk a little bit about the mud run. You don't know when it's happening. You just literally get told to, get on your fizz gear, get outside, and then all of a sudden, by the way, you're going in the mud. And it's kind of like you're all anticipating it, so there's a bit of adrenaline, bit of excitement, bit of worry. It's kind of fun. But I thought the hardest part of the mud run wasn't doing the mud run, right? Because the mud run was hard, obviously. It is what it is. It's just fizz. It's only going to last so long, isn't it? But what they do is you get out the mud. They hose you down kind of roughly with a giant, like fireman's hose type thing. It just gets a lot of the mud off, but not all of it. Like, you're still covered in mud, and if anything, it just makes you more wet. And then you go back to your rooms, and they make you smear yourself all over the walls, the bedding, your lockers, everything. They make you like roll over everything in your accommodation, and then they're like, okay, you've got an hour to clean everything and get it back to normal. And it is horrific. 9 times out of 10 you fail that part, but that's difficult. That's really difficult.
There is an argument about whether some people are genetically wired to handle colder temperatures, or whether one must build stamina for lower temperatures by training in colder environments. The US Navy SEALs put this to the test in a very palpable way. They do this through surf torture, also called cold water conditioning. The water temperatures usually hover around 65 degrees Fahrenheit and never go above 68 degrees Fahrenheit. From there, trainees may be ordered to do some calisthenics or run a mile and a half down the beach in their wet clothes and boots. Then they're ordered back into the surf. Many drills also require that teams carry their rubber boots over their heads as they run from one task to another. Even if the water is 90 degrees, your core temperatures will very slowly start to drop from its normal level of 98.6 degrees. The hours-long drill tests the personal resolve of all those involved and proves to superior officers who is most fit for war.
US Navy SEALs. I have a lot of respect for the US Navy SEALs. I would really like to. Let me know in the comments down below if you think I should watch some more Navy SEAL videos. I think they're so cool. I really do. The training is, I think, one of the toughest I've seen in general, because I have seen like little clips of it, and it looks hard as nails. So it's really impressive to see it. But I might actually watch more of that. Let me know in the comments down below if you think I should watch more Navy SEAls.
The Russian military isn't known for having a gentle touch, so it should come as no surprise that their counterterrorism operations training is really tough. But just how tough is borderline insane? Russia's Federal Security Service, called the FSB, and successor to the KGB, shoots their agents center mass to give them confidence in a terrorist-controlled situation where bullets might be flying by their heads. The trainees, wearing body armor, absorb a few rounds before firing shots back at the target. In a video, the man in front of the target is Andre, an FSB operator, who doesn't flinch as 3 rounds zing by his head. They are forced to stand motionless, and then they wait for someone to casually walk past them, but then suddenly draw a pistol and shoot them repeatedly in the chest. After taking these hits, they are to return fire, and they have to aim just inches away from the attacker's unprotected face.
So, same with the grenade thing. I think it's just unnecessary. I don't think that makes you a better soldier. Obviously, the Russian forces are actually very, very good, but I just think it's unnecessary. Just like chucking the grenade. Okay, cool, it shows discipline, but there are far better ways to show discipline and train your mind for resilience and determination and the ability to not be scared in them situations than just doing stuff like this.
Second drill, the trainee is given multiple cardboard targets to shoot, but while he does so, he is pushed and shoved by trainers, who yell in his ear, while guns fire immediately adjacent to his ears. These are all supposed to simulate distractions on the battlefield and enhance the trainee's focus in stressful situations.
So that last one then, I think that one's probably better off for it. You might be, I mean, it depends on how far you want to like take it, because it'd be wiser to use blanks, really, wouldn't it? Even though, to be fair, if you're shooting right next to someone's ear, blanks are just as bad, really. You can get all sorts of crap coming out of blanks. But I just think sometimes people can take things a bit too seriously and too extreme just to kind of be the best. But you know, at the end of the day, these are professionals. These are guys who know what they are doing. They are very, very good at their job, and therefore I have the utmost faith in that they're able to do this stuff without injuries. I'm sure people do get injured, so that's why they're able to get away with this, because they're some of the best in the world, you know.
Cobra Gold is one of the Indo-Pacific's largest multinational exercises. It's also the one where U.S. troops drink cobra blood. The exercise includes events such as an amphibious assault demonstration, landmine destruction, and a combined arms live-fire exercise. But probably the most photographed event is the jungle survival training, during which Thai instructors share with the Americans their knowledge of life-sustaining jungle sources of food and water, plants, insects, and, of course, cobra blood. For instance, some plants can be a good source of water, and there are a lot of different fruits available for consumption. But when those options aren't available, Marines can also eat geckos, gibbons, and even scorpions. Then, of course, there is one of the most iconic aspects of the Cobra Gold jungle survival training, drinking cobra blood. Royal Thai Marine instructors showed the troops how drinking the blood from a cobra can help them stay alive if there is no drinkable water, and can also provide essential nutrition. The pictures show the Marines with their heads tilted back and sticking out their tongues as the instructor drips the blood down their throats. It's not for the squeamish, and even some hardened Marines appear to have their eyes tightly shut as they get their taste of the cobra blood. In contrast, others seemed keen to have a drink of the blood of the deadly serpent. According to Marines who have taken part in exercises in the past, the cobra blood tastes fishy.
So with that one, I don't necessarily think that the cobra blood is like scary. What all they're trying to show is that these weird things that you wouldn't think would make you survive and help you survive and thrive in the well, not thrive in a jungle, but you know, get by, are sometimes the things that you don't expect, which is eating scorpions. You know, not only drinking the blood of the cobra, but skinning it and probably eating it as well. You know, so that they're just trying to use. It's like the shock of the event, but really and truthfully, all it is it's just like, hey guys, look, you can do this to survive, and this is something you would never have thought of before, and that's really cool. That's really cool.
Belarus is not known for its human rights or its progressive politics. Many people consider it to be the last remaining dictatorship in Europe. And of course, to keep the dictatorship in power, the government needs an extremely fearsome military. In addition to training for chemical warfare with gas masks and protective equipment, the Belarusian Special Forces are required to undergo an obstacle course that is covered in flames. Nicknamed the Firewalk, this exercise requires the soldiers to complete a 10K run with occasional bits of fire interspersed across the course. Sometimes they will need to walk through the fire, and other times they need to scale walls covered in flames. The Special Forces are undoubtedly an imposing unit. Belarus's ruling party has been accused of using its special forces to assassinate opposition leaders.
Again, going back to the whole like grenade, hot potato, some things are unnecessary. In a controlled environment, they're fine, and I'm sure these guys are utmost professionals and know exactly what they're doing and when to be careful. But if they're just doing it recklessly, that's silly. Let's be honest. Like, at the end of the day, right? If you're training someone, you want. A lot of the time when people see training, they're hammering them, they're shouting at them, but they're only doing it to make them better soldiers. They're only doing it to try and harden them up a little bit. So when you're doing these things to the extreme where they might get injured, it's kind of like contradicting what you're actually trying to achieve, and that's to make a good soldier, because you might injure them and then that's it. All that training out the door for nothing, you know? So there's a limit to pushing a soldier to the very brink of what they're capable of doing, like what you would do in the Navy SEALs or the Royal Marines or the SAS and the SBS and stuff like that, where the tasks are so hard that they seem impossible, but they're not impossible. And then you get tasks that put you in danger, and they're the ones where it's like, okay, maybe we should think of other ways to do this, and maybe it's not the wisest thing to make the best soldier, if that makes sense.
Taiwan's Marine Corps' Road to Heaven is the final stage of a grueling 10-week amphibious training program. In order to become frogmen, candidates must crawl 164 feet over jagged, porous coral rocks in a pair of shorts. The Road to Heaven starts with a hard fall from standing to planking position. The fall looks to be tough on the elbows, but immediately after, the recruits begin to crawl through the sharp rocks on the points of their knees and elbows. In some ways, the training simulates a landing on a rocky beach, but it appears to function mainly as a test in which the trainees must will themselves to conquer pain. The path has 10 stopping points, and at each one, the recruits must stop and perform an exercise. As they make their way, instructors pour salt water on them to exacerbate the pain of their open wounds. Friends and family of the trainees are encouraged to attend in order to make the soldiers more self-conscious. At the end of the long, rough road, they finally earn their place among the most elite soldiers in Taiwan.
Why though? Why though? Do they have to do that? Is that going to make them a better soldier because they're feeling pain? Like, pain's pain at the end of the day. You're going to feel it no matter what. And if you are able to go through Hell Week in the Navy SEALs, or if you're able to do a 30-miler and push yourself to that limit, I would say that pain is more difficult than crawling across some rocks and just hurting yourself for no good reason. My opinion? Might be wrong. In fact, let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think this really does make a better soldier? I think it's counterproductive, if I'm honest with you.
Back in 2012, 2 videos surfaced on the internet. The first showed Chinese soldiers breaking bricks with their heads for training. The second one similarly showed the South Korean army breaking concrete with their heads. Many believe this is merely to show the strength of the People's Liberation Army. If combat were simply a matter of showmanship, then the PLA would be near invincible. But military officials are acknowledging that such displays have few practical applications, and are reconsidering the amount of time that troops spend on such training. The shift is a small but symbolically important part of China's broader effort to modernize its military. Going to war isn't a performance, Zhang Aijun, commander of a special operations brigade in Beijing, told PLA Daily, the official newspaper of the Chinese military. Troops training must stick close to the realities of combat and pay special attention to the urgent need to strengthen fighting skills. This is why the Chinese army discontinued the practice in 2014. Martial arts performances are a trademark, PLA Daily said of the brigade, which it did not identify in detail. For many years, they relied on these skills to display their abilities and win much praise. However, do these stunts have a practical use on the battlefield?
So I think that then to sum all that up. So breaking your rocks with your head and crawling across rocks, it doesn't make you the toughest soldier. Look at the SAS, which are kind of considered the best of the best special forces around the world. Let's just some people will disagree with that, but let's just say, okay, that the SAS are the best in the world, okay. However, do you ever see them break rocks with their heads? Do you ever see them do things for pain? Do you ever see them, messing about with live ammunition like grenades? You don't see that. What shows how good they are is their ability to push themselves to the beyond what naturally is possible through stuff that is combat centric. Whether that's yomping or we call it yomping in the Romans, but walking for a certain distance, or being able to endure like the hardships of the hard terrain of the world for long periods of time more than what the average person would do. That's what creates a good soldier. That's what creates someone to be able to. I've talked about this in videos before, how they push you, like in the Navy SEALs and in the Royal Marines and the SAS and I can go through all the different special forces that are actually, I think, are considered incredible. The way they push you in training is so that when you go into operations and go on tour, you can look back on training and think, I've done worse. So if you do a 30-mile like you do in the Royal Marines, if you've got a yomp 26 miles, you're like, well, I've done 30 miles before. Breaking rocks with your head, that has no benefit to military training. Has no benefit. It's just nothing. Crawling across rocks, nothing. But that's my opinion. I might be wrong. You guys might disagree. You can leave it in the comments down below. Let me know what you think.
Both U.S. and South Korean soldiers took part in an impressive cold weather training drill in 2017. More than 400 soldiers took part in the drill, 200 South Koreans and 220 U.S. troops normally stationed on the Japanese island of Okinawa. The exercise has been held since 2013 to train the military to be able to fight at temperatures as low as -4 Fahrenheit. More choreographed than tactical, the troops perform for a horde of media, which at times seem to outnumber the North Carolina-based Marines and their Korean counterparts during this annual photo op. An environment like this is unforgiving, said Captain Thomas Rigby, 33, of Company A, 1st Battalion, 8th Marines. The company commander from Red Bank, New Jersey, said his Marines used the harsh locale to focus on cold weather squad tactics and decision-making skills. Rigby said historic fights like the Korean War's Battle of Chosin Reservoir, in which Marines fought off and escaped a massive Chinese assault in 1950, have cemented the service's can-do, go-anywhere attitude. We're a jack of all trades, he said. We fancy ourselves to be able to fight in any climate and place. The idea is to acclimate soldiers to any intense condition. Jack of all trades in 50 have cemented the service's
just go back 1 second.
Go anywhere attitude. We're a jack.
Is that an SA-8er? It is, isn't it? So that's the US don't use SA-8s, so this is obviously. I mean, they're probably just taking footage and just pushing it together to make it look like.
Jack of all trades,
you know,
he said. We
about.
Fancy ourselves to be able to fight in any climate and place. The idea is to acclimate soldiers to any intense conditions they may find themselves in.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. So doing cold weather training is letting your body get used to that type of environment, and pushing yourself physically, mentally in that environment means that if you get deployed to a war zone with that environment, you've been there, you've done it, and if you have to do something, you can think in the back of your mind, I've done worse in training. I've been in this environment before. I know what to do and I know what it's going to be like. That's why this type of training in cold weather is important. That's important. Sorry, rant.
Service in the Israeli army is compulsory for all young Israeli citizens in good health. So recruits should hope that they are not forced into a controversial program in which they are forced to jump from the tops of skyscrapers and rappel down the buildings. The idea is to prepare the soldiers for the impact of a bomb on a building so that they can get citizens out of the flaming structure safely. It is also a preparation for terrorist situations where they need to enter a building covertly. Certainly, the drills have many applications, but hopefully the soldiers don't suffer from vertigo or fear of heights. These new recruits will be prepared to defend the Tel Aviv skyline.
Okay. I think that last one is like the borderline of this is, you know, you need to know this if you want to be good at this certain type of aspect of operations. You know, if there so happens to be like a building compromise that you need to try and, you know, take back, then that's when this type of training helps. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this so you can see me big head. Okay. So I like that video. There's some pointers there that I think are unnecessary, like I've gone over. I think the hot potato ones are necessary. The breaking bricks for your heads are necessary, and crawling across rocks. They don't make you better soldiers. They really don't. Pushing yourself in cold weather does. That certainly makes you a better soldier. Doing drills on the side of buildings, that makes you a better soldier in a way for a certain scenario, you know. Putting yourself in cold water, that makes you a better soldier for certain parts of it, you know. So I think there's a lot of hearsay out there. There's a lot of military training out there that is just done to try and intimidate other countries, I think, when you don't need to. It's unnecessary. You don't see hardly any of the SAS training. In fact, good luck finding footage of SAS training in general, and yet they're still known as the best of the best. You don't have to show off. It's what you do that's important. It's what you actually do in operations. Same with Navy SEALs. Navy SEALs probably have more footage online than most other special forces, but the footage they show is them in training. When you see them in the water swimming and they're practicing, they're going under the water because their hands and legs are tied. They're doing it in a very controlled environment that is accessible to what could be used in a war zone, in an escape and invasion, or if you're captured or something like that. And that's why it's good. And not only that, the SEALs show why they're good when they're on operations, because they are one of the best in the world. So it's not about showing off, it's about what you can do. That's really it, isn't it? I think that's the moral of the story with this one. Great video. I'll leave a link down below. Go to the original video, give it a like, and show some love over there. We're going to end it there. Before you all go, as per usual, though, I want to give a huge shout out to my members. Again, thank you, guys. Thank you. You're amazing. I love you all so much. And again, down below, there's going to be a link to my Discord, to my Twitch, to my merch. Go and check it all out. Yeah, be part of the community, because we've really formed an amazing community right now. And thank you for watching. If you've got some recommendations down below, if you disagree with me, that's okay as well. It's okay to disagree with people. Let me know in the comments down below, and maybe we can have a good discussion about it. Have a wonderful day. Take it easy. Stay safe, and enjoy the weather. And goodbye.